In this video, we're going to talk about the robin. It's one of the most familiar birds in the world, right? You see them in city parks, you hear their song. That classic red breast is pretty hard to miss. But, believe it or not, there's a whole lot more to this bird than you might think. So, let me ask you something. When you picture a robin in your head, what do you see? Is it this small, kind of plump bird, or is it bigger, a bit leaner? Well, the answer to that actually tells me a lot about where you live, because it totally depends on which side of the Atlantic you're on. See, what happened was, way back when European settlers first came to the Americas, they spotted this bird with the reddish-orange chest, and it reminded them of the robin from back home, so they just called it a robin. But here's the twist. Even though they share a name, these two birds are not close relatives at all. The American robin is actually a thrush, and the European robin, it's something totally different, an old world flycatcher. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. We're going to meet our two contenders. And trust me, when you see them side by side, the differences are, well, they're pretty obvious. It's kind of funny, this is a classic case of mistaken identity that's been going on for hundreds of years. Alright, let's break it down. You've got the European robin over here, from the flycatcher family. It's a pretty small, delicate bird, usually around 14 centimeters long. Then you have the American robin, a thrush, and this guy is way bigger, much more robust, coming in at about 25 centimeters. And the guy has a massive difference in size. And where they live is also super interesting. They basically stick to their own continents. The European robin, you'll find it all over Europe, even stretching out into parts of Siberia and North Africa. The American robin, on the other hand, is, well, American. It's all over North America, from the top of Canada and Alaska, way down to Mexico. They really don't cross paths. So even though they live worlds apart, when it comes to family life, courtship, nesting, raising the little ones, they face a lot of the same struggles. So let's take a closer look at how they do it. Okay, so life for a European robin can be really tough, especially that first year. A lot of the young birds don't make it, which is why their average life expectancy is only about 1.1 years. But, and this is a big but, if they survive that first year, things change. They can live a lot longer. Get this, the record holder lived for an unbelievable 19 years. It's a pretty similar story for the American robin. The average out in the wild is about 2 years, again because that first year is so hard. But just like its European cousin, if they're lucky and tough, they can really beat the odds. The oldest one on record made it to almost 14 years old. Now when it's time to build a home, the female is the master architect. She's the one who builds that classic, sturdy, cup-shaped nest out of grass and twigs and mud. And then she lays her eggs, and yes, for the American robin, that's where we get that iconic robin's egg blue color. What's really cool is that if they have a good year, a single pair can raise 2 or even 3 whole families, or broods, in just one season. Alright, so, let's talk about their social lives. How do they get along with each other? Are they party animals, or do they prefer to keep to themselves? Let's dive into their friends, foes, and flocks. A lot of people wonder if robins have a leader, like a chief of the flock. And the answer is, nope. It's that simple. They don't have that kind of hierarchy. It's all about instinct, defending their territory, and, just finding food and staying safe. And this is where we see another huge difference between the two. The European robin is fiercely territorial. I mean, fiercely. They will literally fight to the death to protect their little patch of land. American robins, though, totally different vibe. Once breeding season is over, they become super social. In the winter, they'll gather in these massive communal roosts. We're talking gatherings of up to 250,000 birds. Can you imagine? When it comes to food, the American robin isn't picky. They're true omnivores. About 40% of their menu is stuff like earthworms and insects. The whole early bird gets the worm thing is literally about them. The other 60%, that's all fruit and berries. They're even smart about it. They tend to eat more worms in the morning and switch to fruit later in the day. Of course, life out there isn't always easy. Robins have their fair share of enemies. They are the natural predators, things like hawks, snakes, and owls. But they also face a lot of danger from us, from human stuff. Domestic cats are a huge threat, especially since robins spend so much time on the ground. And so are all the pesticides we use on our lawns. Okay, we've gone through all the basics, but I've saved some of the best stuff for last. Let's wrap this up with 5 fascinating facts about robins that you probably didn't know. Are you ready? Fact number 1. The European robin is the UK's unofficial national bird. Number 2. Back in Victorian times, they were called postman robins because the mail carriers wore red jackets, just like them. Number 3. American robins can actually get a little drunk from eating too many honeysuckle berries that have started to ferment. Yep, drunk birds. Number 4 is a fun one. In North America, robins means spring is here, but in the UK, they're a huge symbol of Christmas. Total opposites. And finally, number 5, and this one will blow your mind. The robin's breast was called red before the English language even had a word for the color orange. So there you have it, 2 totally different birds, sharing one name, but each with its own incredible story. One's a tiny, feisty little friend in the garden, and the other is that big, familiar songbird of American suburbs. So now that you know the whole story, I gotta ask, which robin is your favorite? Alright, what is it this video, everyone? Thank you for watching. Please make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next video.